Shout out to Squarespace for sponsoring this update. Whether you need a domain, website, online store, whatever, make it with Squarespace. Get 10% off your first purchase when you go to squarespace.com/theknow. Welcome to The Know, I'm Ashley. Last E3, Microsoft announced that original Xbox backward compatibility would be on the way to Xbox One in the console's future, and now we're getting teased that we'll be hearing more about this very soon. According to a new post on the Xbox Wire blog, Microsoft will be revealing some backward compatibility information in next week's episode of their revamped Inside Xbox. They said on the blog post, one of our most common requests is for original Xbox backward compatibility news, and we'll be starting off the show with a big update on just that. And they also hint that despite the fact that they'll be providing a full breakdown of the episode a day before it airs, we should still expect a surprise or two. So count as properly teased, Microsoft. You know what I want to see? I want to see Crimson Skies. To learn more, just set your calendars for April 10th when episode 2 of Inside Xbox goes live. It looks like Warner Brothers is banishing Shadow of War's microtransactions back to the Shadow Realm at long last. Well, I mean, it actually hasn't been all that long, but they're doing it. The company announced that the controversial microtransactions are all going away in a community post writing, while purchasing orcs in the market is more immediate and provides additional player options. We've come to realize that providing this choice risked undermining the heart of our game, the Nemesis system. It allows you to miss out on the awesome player stories you would have otherwise created, and it compromises those same stories even if you don't buy anything. Simply being aware that they are available for purchase reduces the immersion in the world and takes away from the challenge of building your personal army and your fortresses. In order to fully restore the core promise of the Nemesis system, we'll be permanently removing gold, war chests, and the market from Shadow of War. When Shadow of War released, players had a little bit of a problem with how the microtransactions were implemented, with some accusing the game of being a grind, especially right up near the end, just to entice you to purchase them, because by the time you get to the end, you just want to get the finale and finish it, but no, you gotta go through this crazy long grind. And everyone thought, would they have had this grind if they didn't have microtransactions? So yeah, there was that doubt with a lot of people. Seems Warner Brothers has now had a change of heart, after they made most of their money from it probably, but hey, they did it and they admitted that it wasn't all that cool, so great. Unfortunately, they won't be removed until July. Microsoft isn't the only one teasing some future announcements. Activision also seems to be doing the same thing via a mysterious package. IGN posted images yesterday of an egg they received from Activision Blizzard along with this quote, "Something's about to hatch." The quote was attributed to Falcon McBob, which is not so coincidentally the name listed to the official Spyro the Dragon Twitter account held by Activision. Conspiracies! Considering there's been loads of evidence that a remastered Spyro trilogy is on the way from the company for the Dragon's 20th anniversary later this year, yeah, go on, this seems like it's almost confirmation. I mean, look, it's sure, okay, fine, anyone's guess as to when Activision is gonna stop teasing and actually give us a proper announcement, but for now, it sounds like we've definitely got something Spyro related on the way. So be happy, Spyro fans. Also, hey kids, stop all the battle royaling in class. Fortnite's mobile version now has a loading screen specifically telling players that Mr. Hillman says stop playing in class. And apparently all that is because of, well, actual Mr. Hillman, who made a request of Epic on the game's subreddit. Mr. Hillman wrote to the company, "My friends from college and I play pretty much every night. One problem, since mobile came out, my students won't stop playing in class. I don't know if it's possible, but I told them I'd write you and they didn't believe me. Could you add this to the loading screen for a couple of days to mess with them?" So there you have it. Epic is helping the teacher troll their kids. Stay in school and please, please, please don't play Fortnite while you're there. It kind of looks like then you might fail your classes and have to be there longer, and you don't want that, right? The indie game Minute, in which you only have a minute to save the world, sounds weird, super cool actually. It's been on radars since E3 last year. We did a whole interview with the developer and it actually got me super interested in the game. Well, now that game is finally out. Reviews have been dropping today alongside the release, and so far it's sporting an 81 on Metacritic and an 80 on OpenCritic. The consensus among reviewers is that Minute's constrained time mechanic is refreshing and unique, and the game manages to pack a lot of gameplay into its 60-second chunks. However, some players will inevitably find the game just a little bit too simple. GameSpot wrote in its 8 out of 10 review, Minute's lives might only last 60 seconds, but its extremely well thought out world design and engrossing loop of progress make it a curse-filled adventure that is worth dying the world over for. We're going to be talking about it on this week's episode of Glitch Please Do, so stay tuned for that. It's a really cool game and it's a really cool concept, and I hope that people like it and check it out. But that's just me, that's a personal thing. Ghost Recon Wildlands is hitting new milestones, with the game just passing a pretty incredible one of 10 million players. It's kind of weird. It's not a game that got talked about a whole lot last year, but it was quietly one of 2017's biggest commercial successes, and it just keeps on going. Ubisoft has just announced that they'll be rolling out a second year of content for the game, both for the campaign and for PvP. The updates will span 4 major releases titled Special Operations, which are all going to be released for free, and they'll include missions, items, rewards, some new features. The first one is hitting on April 10th, so just a week away, with a new campaign mission, new PvP mode called Sabotage, and that'll have 5 exclusive maps, new class, new perks. So all that's free, but they are doing a paid season pass equivalent that gives you 7-day early access to the new Ghost War classes and some character customization crates. That will run you $29.99 if you want to shell out for it. Otherwise, you can enjoy all the gameplay content for free. If you're familiar with a game called Spy Party, well, then it doesn't really need an introduction. If you're not, it's a competitive 1v1 game that challenges a spy to outwit a sniper and a sniper to suss out the spy. The game has been available for sale for 5 years or so via the developer's website, but Steam fans will be happy to know the game is hitting early access on April 12th, which is pretty significant development for the game, since, Steam's the biggest PC game distribution platform around these days. There will be a few new features like tutorials and replay, and also 6 new playable venues. There's a lot more planned for the game as well, like skill-based matchmaking, but that's not in quite yet, hence the early access. At the moment, you do have to invite players into matches, which isn't an ideal solution, but a temporary one. The game's also going to jump in price a little bit. Right now, it's $15 on the game's website, but once it hits early access, it's gonna rise to $24.99. So if you wanna get it for $10 less, there you go. A few weeks ago, cult classic RPG Chrono Trigger finally made its debut on Steam. Ah, surprise, everyone happy, right? No. Unfortunately, it was basically a port of the mobile version of the game, which was not at all what fans were hoping for. As a result, the game was overwhelmed with negative reviews on Steam and users warning others away from picking it up. Some of the issues reported included use of the mobile UI, unreadable fonts, new bugs that weren't present in previous versions of the game, and, well, several other issues. Fortunately for fans, Square Enix has taken that feedback on board, and they're releasing a series of patches to address those complaints. The full roadmap hasn't been disclosed yet, but according to an update on Steam from the developers, the first patch is going to be available during the first half of April, and will add an option to switch between the current graphics and the game's original graphics, which is pretty cool. So we'll see what comes from the rest of the patches, but at the very least, it's great to see them listening and updating the game based on fan feedback. Zachary Quinto was interviewed by Entertainment Tonight, and, well, they naturally asked all about the talk about Quentin Tarantino's possible Star Trek. Quinto didn't spill anything specific about Tarantino's story idea, but he did confirm that a whole lot of writing is being done. Multiple different Trek scripts are in the works right now, with Tarantino's idea being one of maybe 3 or 4 different scripts in development. Quinto said a script was being worked on before Tarantino came into the writer's room to pitch his big idea, and that Star Trek Beyond writers Simon Pegg and Doug Jung were hard at work on a sequel script as well. With Tarantino focusing on his next feature right now, who knows what the future of Trek will be exactly, or how that timeline is all gonna fall out. But the good news is that Paramount is developing so many different Trek sequel ideas that one of them is bound to stick, and we'll be getting another movie sooner rather than later. If you are enjoying the new Trek movies, that's great news. If you are really not a fan, sorry. Any comic book rumors that spring up on or around April 1st always have to be taken with a grain of salt, but Rich Johnson of Bleeding Cool, a longtime Fanscoop site, swears up and down he is not trying to pull our legs with his story that Woody Harrelson will be playing Cletus Cassidy, aka Carnage, in the upcoming Tom Hardy starring standalone Venom movie. This has been a pretty common speculation amongst Venom fans as soon as Harrelson's casting was announced, and for very good reason. One of the roles that really defined Harrelson's cinematic career was his sociopathic madman Mickey Knox in Natural Born Killers. However, the studio and filmmakers haven't commented one way or the other. Bleeding Cool says they have it confirmed that Harrelson is Carnage, but We'll see when everything is official, whether this was a real scoop or some April 1st BS. I'd like it to be a real scoop because that sounds perfect, but maybe that's just me. I doubt it's just me since this has been speculation by a bunch of people. Anyway, that is all the news for the roundup today. Let us know what you think of all these stories in the comments down below to make sure you get news from every corner of the internet every weekday. Like this video, and if you're new to our channel, consider subscribing to the Know. Thanks to Squarespace for sponsoring this update. Squarespace is your one-stop shop for establishing your own corner of the internet, whether you need a domain, a website, an online store, whatever. It's super easy to get started. They've got a free trial so you can check out their different design templates. They've got 24/7 customer service, and they're an all-in-one platform, so there's nothing that you need to install or patch or upgrade. Don't deal with any of it. You don't have to. We've used them in the past too. We actually built a holiday gift guide on Squarespace, so I have spent a lot of time with their templates and tools, and I can confirm it's very straightforward, it's easy to understand, but I was also able to really dig in and super customize the little details I wanted to get just right. If you've already got a domain, but you haven't really done anything with it yet and you want to, you can transfer it to Squarespace really easily, so you don't have to keep track of multiple vendors, and they'll even help you manage products, orders, and inventory if you're putting together an online store. Try it out for free at squarespace.com. Then when you're ready to go, you can get 10% off your first purchase of a website or domain by going to squarespace.com/theknow.